Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Barb from Barb and I Budgets, and I'm here today because there is a new series called Our Different Budgeting Journeys, hashtag ODBJ, and it was started by Budgeting April, and she graciously put me into her list of people to do this series of videos, and today will be my very first video. On the screen, you'll see the other budgeters who are involved. April does her videos on Monday. Group 1 does their videos on Tuesday, and Group 2 does their videos on Wednesday, and I'm in Group 2. If you're interested in seeing this video, keep on watching. Thank you. Hey budget family, this is Barb from Barb and I Budgets, and I'm here today to do a different kind of video. I am part of It's a series of videos that we're going to do to explain our budgeting journey. And it's called Our Different Budgeting Journey, because we all have a different journey. And today the video is our why. Why do we start budgeting? So, you know, I could always say, oh, it's because I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And that's partially it. I've always lived paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I was floating checks or credit card, debit card swipes, and I didn't even have the money in the bank to pay it, and I was just hoping I would get paid before it was time for the check to clear. You can't do that today because checks clear almost instantly, but back when my children were younger, I was able to do that. I would write a check on Wednesday knowing I get paid on Friday, and that's how I would be able to, buy toilet paper or whatever we needed. And that's the way we lived. I grew up with my father raising me and my stepmother. I had 2 brothers. My stepmother is very frugal. She, like, the most frugal person I've ever met. And she always made it work. We never went without. My father was a construction worker. There were times in the wintertime where he would be laid off. Unemployment would take forever to come. But we never went without, And then I remember one time my dad got hurt at work and it actually retired him. And so things got tough and I was working, and I remember I was giving a little money here or there to help pay the bills, but it got really tough to the point where there was no money left. But my stepmom back 30 years ago was smart enough that she had something called an emergency fund. I had no idea what it was, but she had enough in there. She was able to pay the mortgage and the bills and get groceries with that emergency fund. And then things worked out and on we moved. So fast forward a little bit, I become an adult. I start having children. I wasn't married, but I had 3 children with my ex, my 3 older children, 2 sons and a daughter, BJ, Jeremiah, and Sarah. And I raised them by myself. Even when we were together, he didn't work. It was just me, and I lived paycheck to paycheck. And like I said, I was floating checks. I was writing checks that I knew would not clear if it went through the bank. That's just how I was living. There was a point in time where I worked for Sam's Club, which is part of Walmart, and I had stock in Sam's Club. You guys, can you imagine if I would have kept that stock, how much it would be worth today? Like 25 years later. But anyway, I was working, and I just, I would spend it as fast as I would get it. I've always been the kind of person who I look for validation in what I can buy for you, and I will always buy expensive gifts for my boyfriend at the time or for my kids, and I always overspent. It was always like for my boyfriend, or it was for my parents. And my kids, sometimes I couldn't get them the things they wanted, and they didn't go without. They had toys, they had clothes, they had food, they had shelter. But like my oldest son, he always wanted an iPod. I forget what it's called, but it was like the fancy one that looks like the iPhone now, and I could never afford to buy that for him. And those kind of things just like broke my heart. And it wasn't mandatory that he had that, obviously. But if I would have had the budget community back then and I would have been budgeting, I could have budgeted for that. But I didn't, and I didn't know. And so I'm not beating myself up for not knowing back then what I know now. But fast forward a little bit, I continued to just live paycheck to paycheck, and it was really hard. So I went back to college while I had 3 children, and I got my associates, and then I went on and I got my bachelor's, and I got my master's, and then I got certified as a CPA. And in the meantime, I got married and had a 4th kid. So when I got married, my husband was working. We both had an income coming in. We both bought brand new cars. I bought a house. It was like a good time for us. And then he quit his job. So, and then I don't know if you know about like the recession that happened in 2008. That happened, and I got laid off from my job. So I'm only getting partial pay and unemployment. And my car got repossessed. Well, I had a truck. My truck got repossessed, and his car got repossessed, and I was scraping by. So the one thing I failed to say during all of this is that anytime something happened that I needed help, my parents had to help me. I'm grateful a lot of people don't have their parents to help them, but I did. I had my parents to help me, and I always felt less than because I would have to go to my parents and say, yeah, I don't have money for groceries this week, or I can't pay my son's tuition, can I borrow it? I can't put gas in the car, can I borrow it? So I've always had a job, I've always worked. I just never knew how to be smart with money. So I started asking my stepmom questions like, how do you buy so many groceries with such a little amount of money? She taught me about couponing, and she taught me, to read the ads, make sure that I'm looking for things that are on sale, use a coupon with the sale. And I learned that from her, but I still didn't pick up the budgeting aspect. Now, here's the crazy thing. I'm an accountant, and we budget at work all the time, and we don't go over budget. We're not allowed to go over budget, and we follow exactly what the budget is. So you would think that maybe I could have put 2 to 2 together and figured that out for myself, but I didn't. So I'm going to move forward pretty far to where we are today. And it was back in June, I started a brand new job, and I got a considerable increase in this job. And I remember praying about it and being like, God, please help me not to waste this money. Like, I want to do the right thing. I want to have, make sure my bills are paid on time. I want to make sure I'm able to help my kids if they need help. I want to do the right thing. And one day I'm scrolling through YouTube, and I come across this video. It says baddies and budgets. And I'm like, what's this about? And I watched it, and my life changed. So my why is I don't ever want to go back to living where I'm floating payments to try to make it. I don't ever want to not to be able to help my children. I want to be able to be financially free. I want to feel that freedom, the peace that comes with knowing your bills are paid and you have food in your refrigerator, and just knowing that I am able to help. And the other why, and this is just complete honesty, is I want to figure out a way that I can take my family on vacation, because I was never able to take my children on a vacation altogether. And I want to do that, and I want to save for that. And that is another why. There's things like that I just want to do, and I've just never been able to. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to save for it. I'm so grateful that I found Baddies and Budgets. Shout out to Jasmine over there. She is fantastic. And so those are my whys. My whys are, I don't want to go back to living paycheck to paycheck, not even paycheck to paycheck. And I want to be able to help my children, and I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to live, and I want to be financially free. And I want to thank you for listening to my why. And if you're new to budgeting, just do it. You can do it. Just start. Just start and do it. Thank you. Have a great day.